Good morning. I still have yesterday's face on. I'm gonna get in the shower in a minute and start my day. But I wanted to do a quick video to talk about the vitality of support groups. When I was first diagnosed, the first thing that I did was jump online and search for a support group. Now, this cancer is difficult because most of the women who are diagnosed with this cancer, as I've mentioned before, are postmenopausal women. So the experience that they go through is very different than what we go through. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that they're done having children, but I think that part of that also has to do with their age. I think that they're looking at it from a perspective of, I'm getting up there in age and I'm being diagnosed with this potentially fatal disease. And I think that there's a lot more fear that comes with age. I don't know if you'd call that wisdom or if it's just knowledge that your body is not as capable of recovering after going through things like surgery or possibly chemo and radiation. Those are difficult things for the body. And the older you are, the harder they are to deal with. For me, though, it was a little bit difficult to find a support group for young women with female cancers because of the low propensity for young women to get this cancer. So I found a group actually on Facebook, and wherever you find a support group, if you're one of those people that needs that physical love and connection and being able to hold somebody and cry on somebody's shoulder, the Facebook thing won't work for you. But I encourage you to find something, because the reality is being able to talk to other women who are going through this or who have been through it or who know of other clinical trials that you've never heard of is so important. I was told from the get-go that basically hormone treatment was not ideal for me and that I should get a hysterectomy. 9 months later, I'm happy that I had the chance to at least try. And that was with a lot of encouragement from my team. Of course, my doctor always, he's big on talking about the risk that is involved. And he was very clear that the safest option, of course, is surgery. But for me, if I had simply walked into surgery and not attempted to do the hormone treatment, I know that I would have been mad at myself for the rest of my life. I would have been terrible to myself. I would have called myself a coward. And I couldn't have lived comfortably with that. So I'm glad that I reached out. I'm glad that I found a support group. I encourage you to do the same. The support group that I'm a part of is incredible, and there's literally nothing that you can say wrong. Me personally, I've been angry. My most prevalent emotion since being diagnosed has been anger, and I'm angry at God, and I'm angry at myself, and I'm angry at the women around me who are having children that they're not taking care of. I'm angry at the people who are going through pregnancy and just complaining about it like it's a problem, and not because it's their fault, not because I think that they're bad or they're wrong. It's just a rage, a blatant white hot fury inside of me that I can't explain. And I can talk about that to my cancer group. And anybody outside of the cancer group is going to say, oh, you're bitter, you're jealous. And I've seen it because I had a comment on Facebook about baby showers that I did, and literally like 25 women came after me to tell me that I was bitter. And I don't think I'm bitter per se. I think that it's just anger. I'm just mad that some people get the chance and perhaps they don't they don't see it from a positive enough perspective, perhaps for my taste, but I mean, to each his own. Everybody's allowed to experience life on their own terms. They're allowed to experience all of the difficulties of pregnancy and motherhood, and they're allowed to complain about them. And I'm also allowed to have this just jerk reaction to be angry, and having a cancer group where people can tell you that what you're feeling is okay, it's so important, because you need to know that your feelings are valid And you have to be able to look inside yourself and say what you're feeling is okay, as long as you don't stay there. You know, me personally, it's anger. A lot of other people, it's been sadness. They're very sad by the fact that they can't have children. I'm angry, they're sad. Others are terrified. They're not even considering the infertility issues. Other women are just terrified of the cancer in its own. And so they do not take the time to do any hormone treatment because for them, the risk is simply not worth it, you know, and that's okay too. And I feel like it's so important to have access to all these different perspectives because cancer is lonely. Cancer is so lonely. Your friends will never understand what you're going through. Even if your friend had a breast cancer, well, breast cancer is oftentimes linked with female cancers. Let's say if your friend had leukemia and you're talking about uterine cancer, you guys are not going to understand each other. Somebody who had a brain tumor and who has pancreatic cancer, somebody who had liver cancer versus, you know, cancer of the spine. All of the symptoms related are different. So you're going to experience different things with different variations of cancer. And that's the reality. You know, I think the closest thing is I have a patient that I deal with through work who has ovarian cancer. Actually, she doesn't have it right now. She's in remission, but having cancer is that constant fear for the rest of your life. If you suddenly get a pain, is the cancer back? Has it metastasized to another organ? Every time I get a headache, I wonder if I have, you know, cancer spread to my brain. If I have difficulty breathing, I wonder if it's moved into my lungs. Nobody outside of the world of cancer is going to understand that. And from cancer to cancer, like I said, things vary. That's why cancer is lonely. I remember when I was first diagnosed, everybody would say, "I'm sorry." And even though they felt that way, I felt like it was such a generic response that it felt kind of insulting to me. And I mean, I know that people do what they can. They say what they can, but really, unless you've been there, it's really hard to say, you know, where somebody's coming from. You know, I argued with one of my best friends right after my diagnosis because she said, "Well, I want you to get the surgery. Your fertility doesn't matter." She's like, "I want you to be alive." And I told her, "Okay, so you and your selfishness, you want me to be alive even if I have to live half a life. And I don't get the fulfillment that I need for my life. That's great." And it was a spiteful and mean and terrible thing for me to say. And she's still my best friend. She's been my best friend for 17 years. You know, we both took a day and then came back and discussed, you know, our different perspectives and why we speak from where we speak. And we understand each other. And we both apologized for our own part of that. But when I wake up at night and I cry and I don't want to wake up my fiance and I come downstairs, it's lonely. When I'm in pain and I'm trying to pretend like everything's fine and I'm living off of ibuprofen every single day, it's lonely. When I'm stuck inside my mind wondering if I'm slowly killing myself, nobody else is ever going to understand that except for somebody who's going through it. So I encourage you, from the moment that you find out that you have cancer, I encourage you to find a group of any kind, physical, Facebook, and anything in between, doesn't matter. I hope that you guys can find some recourse for your emotions, for your concerns, to talk about treatments, to talk about different drugs. If you're struggling with your chemo drug and nobody's ever told you about, you know, the anti-nausea medication of this brand, or if you're about to go into a biopsy, or excuse me, a DNC, this was actually something that I didn't know about. The anesthesiologist can give you something called Versed to help you with the anxiety. You know, having access to the information from people who have gone there, been there, done that is vital. So that is my invitation to all of you. to reach out and find a support group. Okay? Have a good day.